Welcome to our channel. I am Melanin Magic. If you want long locks,
luscious hair, radiant skin, want to look and feel good,
then I Am Melanin Magic is your brand.
I Am Melanin Magic,
and so are you.
Your lock journey is sacred, so is your growth. This isn't just a journal. It's a tool for self-discovery and personal evolution. With over 500 pages of prompts, trackers, and reflections to choose from, the Lock Journey Guided Journal helps you track your progress, stay grounded, and reflect deeply at every stage. Whether you're starting fresh or years in, this journal is your personal roadmap to transformation. And now, meet the Lock Reflection Cards, a simple but powerful way to mirror your growth and nurture your locks and spirit. They double as bookmarks too. Neglect is a form of self-betrayal. Where am I neglecting my own needs? My hair reflects how I treat myself. What daily practices ground and strengthen me? My hair reflects my foundation. Your lock journey is unique. Honor it with the tools that grow with you. Grab your Lock Journey Journal and reflection cards today and start transforming from the inside out.
Welcome to Tunisia's Locks Beauty Tips and Potpourri, and today we're talking about the edges and the crown, the two most vulnerable areas of our hair. As you walk around out here in these spiritual streets, you are likely to see so many women struggling with their edges, struggling with their crown. This is serious. Let's get serious. Let's get serious. Hair loss is a lot more common and that in these two areas for specific anatomical, physiological, and lifestyle reasons, especially in those of the African diaspora and people who wear protective styles like Sisterlocks and Microlocks and braids. So let me get into the nitty gritty so I can help you understand why this happens or some of the reasons why it happens, because you guys have heard me talk about this on the channel for a long time. First and foremost, blood flow. Where blood flows, hair grows, okay? Hair grows where there's good circulation. And the edges and the crown get less blood supply than other parts of the scalp. Circulation is not the same there. Okay, why? The temples and the hairline sit on thinner skin, y'all, literally with fewer capillaries. The crown is farthest from major blood vessels feeding the scalp. It is the farthest from the major blood vessels. So these areas are more exposed to tension, gravity, which can further restrict microcirculation. Less blood flow, less oxygen, less nutrition, less hair resilience. And this is serious, y'all, because we don't really think about this. Like, think about it. Now, we know that when we walk around and we see people out here in the street, especially in our community, look at other cultural groups' hairlines, and you notice it's thick all the way here. How many sisters do you see pulling all this craziness up here? I think it looks weird. If it's not natural, I think it looks weird. That's just me. Pulling all this up here, gelling this down, doing all of this, putting extra stress here. This area is highly manipulated, okay? And we don't always understand how what we're doing is actually detrimental to our hair. And we as Black women are famous for this. Our hair in these areas get the most stress, and there are a lot of things that we are doing that you might not even realize. So I want to break this down a little bit more and give you a little bit more food for thought so that you can understand why this is happening, okay? And hopefully it'll help you to make some choices in your routine. Okay, so if these areas are getting less circulation, less blood supply, but more stress and more tension, more repetitive manipulation, what is actually going to happen? So like I was saying, there are less capillaries here. And then with the crown, there's less nearness to blood vessels. And these are the two areas that are the most exposed to tension and pulling, like gravity, which can further restrict the circulation. And so with all of those factors, you end up with less hair resilience in an arena where there's tons of stress. Now think about it. The tension and the styling stress is highest in these two areas, especially with braids, Sisterlocks, Microlocks, twists, the stuff they're doing with these crazy wigs. The tension typically begins or is concentrated at the edges. Think about how tight. You used to pull these things so tight, sometimes you leave it recycling and your head looks like this. And then a lot of times the styling is started right here, which means this area becomes a focal point. So in general, it gets a lot more stress. Let's not even get into the angle that the loctician may be at. So just think about it. Consider the angle and the force application on the head when the loctician is over your head and she's tightening up in the crown. She's standing directly over you and she's focusing in on this particular area, and that angle can inadvertently apply more of a downward force here, again with the gravity. So stylist leverage and pressure is real. Think about it. When you get up and you leave out of there, usually it's this area that feels tight. And it's this area. When that head starts aching, it's not over here, it's over here. So this leads to contributes to traction alopecia. And usually that's happening right here. Not to say that's the only thing, but you got increased inflammation there, which is leading to increased breakage, thinning, and eventual follicle damage. Over time, this can kill off the follicles, making them unable to even regrow back. And the longer you ignore it, the longer you don't do anything about it, the longer you just let it keep going, the worse it gets. Let's not even talk about the curvature. Think about the curvature of your head. How many times you think about this round part? The hair grows in a lot of different directions in this part. Did you know that? Everything is not going in the same direction that your hair is. In this area, things are more linear over here. So the growth pattern here and the hairs is less uniform. It's less structured. So this area, the crown, is where a lot of people have more of like a whirl or spiral hair growth pattern. The hair is growing in a different way and is radiating outward. This is legit biological, y'all, and this is what it means. And it has nothing to do with just black people. This is universal. At the crown of your hair naturally grows in a swirl. You can see white people, men especially, when they cut their hair in the center. Some people have one whirl, some people got two. Some people have one that's clockwise. Some people have it going counterclockwise. Like I said, it has nothing to do with race. It's totally and genetically universal. Doesn't matter if you have straight hair, wavy hair, or coily hair. So it's true for all people. But when it comes to us with our textured hair, that whirl or that spiral pattern with the hair growing in all these different directions means that during retightening or when we're pulling on our hair, when we're styling our hair, it's easier to go against the grain without realizing it. So that's why, y'all, a lot of people with Sisterlocks and Microlocks experience tension, more tension there when they're over your head. Like I said, it's here, it's there. You're feeling, oh my God, when you leave, you got to take those doggone pills. And that's because the hair is growing out of there in different angles, which makes it easier to disturb, harder to part neatly if you're dealing with parting, whether you got these or not, and more prone to accidental pulling that goes against the grain. Think about it. They could be retightening this way one time and then be retightening that way and then this way, standing over your head in different directions. So if you're not aware of the whirl pattern, or they are not paying attention, they can be pulling your locks in ways that go against your natural tension, creating follicular stress and inflammation. Yes, it's real. So that area, because of that and many other things, is going to show thinning a lot faster because the follicles are already more spread apart, okay, because of the pattern, which means that they don't get the protection from the neighboring follicles, the neighboring strands. This is real. Think about it. The hair is a little bit harder to lay flat there. You'll notice this is just different. The hair tends to stand up a little bit more in the center of your head. You'll notice it's a little bit more unruly in that area if you think about the other areas of your hair. That's something to think about. Additionally, the scalp itself at the crown has tighter skin tension because of the curvature. Think about it. You got this big circular, it's got more skin tension. So the follicles are arranged in various directions, unlike at back here or on the sides where things are a lot more linear. So the irregular pattern and the manipulation, and we're not talking about normal manipulation, y'all. We're talking about painful manipulation and frequently painful manipulation at times. With these retightenings, increased risk of inflammation, tension, and shrinking the follicles over time. What happens when your follicles shrink over time? They become slowly damaged. It's serious. Let's talk about the friction, which we kind of touched on before, and the environmental exposure for these two places. The edges and the crown, especially the edges, the crown is exposed to a lot more light. You got the elements, the UV rays is drying out the crown. Then the pillow rubbing up against these. If you're wearing head wraps or caps or headbands, rubbing up against these areas aren't always protected like the mid-scalp might be. So if somebody's sleeping on the same side every night, okay, I tend to sleep back here and I have to rotate. But if they're doing that every night, they're wearing tight scarves, that's consistent pressure. And that consistent pressure, what is it going to do? It's going to restrict the blood flow even more. And where blood flows, hair grows. These two areas are also very much more sensitive to DHT in women. Dihydrotestosterone, okay, the hormone that causes shrinkage, which you hear people talking about with male pattern baldness and all this stuff, other stuff, tends to affect the crown and the temples a lot more aggressively. Okay, this can be associated with hormones too. That's why people with hormonal things, whether it's perimenopause or postpartum, it tends to start in these areas first. That's something really serious to think about. And generally, follicle density is less in these areas, which means usually, especially here, any damaged hair or inflammation or any hair that's fallen, you're going to see it a lot faster. It's going to be a lot harder to hide. And then last but not least, y'all, how often, and you're just neglecting and improperly caring for that area. Okay, these are the zones that are most manipulated, most undernourished, because when you're in the mirror and you're doing your hair, you ain't really spending the same amount of time that you are here as you are here. Even if you massage, are you really kind of getting up here? Okay, you know what I'm saying? We want to get the fresh look up here, but we forget about this here. The crown is usually often overlooked when we're doing our scalp care. So we got a nutritional deficit, which also is over time going to contribute to thinning and breakage. Okay, think about it. Do you really care for your crown like you do your edges? I know I don't. I know I don't. So here we got thinner skin, low blood flow, high tension equals traction alopecia and shedding. Here, you're far removed from the blood vessels. You got the style and stress, those constant retightenings, the sun shining down, thinning, inflammation, breakage. So, and this ain't funny, but the crown and the edges are like the borderlands of your scalp. Y'all, they're easy to overlook, but they're the first to let you know when something's going wrong. They're the first to signal. So what do? Well, one thing, you got to start paying attention to what's going on with your hair. You got to be more delicate. Look, I was doing all this pulling on my hair while I was doing this. You got to communicate more with your locticians. You got to let them know when you're feeling uncomfortable. Shout out to Feminine Guru, okay? Taking control over your own hair. Shout out to my soul triber from my other channel, Spiritually Initiated and Crowned. You got to let them know during these retightenings. They may have to adjust their technique. Locticians should be trained to recognize the signs of excessive tension and adjust their techniques accordingly, especially when they're working on this area. I'm telling you, I've had these things for almost 15, 16 years. You too have to monitor and keep track of your hair health in these high-risk areas because you got a high-risk hairstyle. Early detection and prevention of traction-related issues that will cost you your hair care journey is problematic. Here comes stage left. Am Melanin MAGIC serum. Applying this as a targeted therapy can help revive circulation, reduce inflammation, prevent follicle shutdown in these most at-risk zones. Here we go. Why do you need this? Because you got DHT blockers, you got hormonal balance ingredients, you got functional harmony between a powerful trifecta here with this here. That stinging nettle is powerful. That doggone black seed oil is powerful. I mean, just the carrier oils that I use with this, okay? The pumpkin seed oil, just the carrier oils that I use in this blend here and the proportions in which I use them make this really a badass blend. And that's why so many people, when they use this consistently, you're going to get results. Whether you're using it to spot treat your hair with this little one here, or whether you're using it to treat larger, multiple areas of your hair, whether you're doing it and then rinsing it out, like my little Caucasian neighbor down the street who works with me on I Am Melanin Magic, 2.5, 3 weeks of using that stuff, her hair completely stopped shedding. It had thinned tremendously. And I guess she said, well, you know, I work for that black lady over there and maybe I can use some of that stuff on my hair. So she came over here to ask me, and I got enough sense to know, been studying hair all my life and aromatherapy, I got enough sense to know that they can use these too. They're just not going to leave them in like we leave them in. Although some can leave them in their scalp and some do. Okay? But I told her how to use this. I told her to put this in her hair every other day and leave it in for 1 to 2 hours and then to wash it out. Y'all, after a few weeks, I'm telling you, under 3 weeks, her hair has stopped falling. It stopped, and her hair was starting to really get thin when she actually showed me, because I've been working with her. She's been working with me for about 3 years, and she would come in and her hair is just thick, it's full. She almost looks like she could be Native American. And her hair is just beautiful and it's very thick. And I didn't notice that it was thinning because she was starting to wear it a little differently. And I just didn't notice it because it's dark and you're not paying attention. When you touch it, that's when you realize how thick it is when I've touched it. So she was showing it to me. And when I looked at it closely and I put my hands in it, it was remarkable how much additional thinning she had experienced. So in just understanding why these areas are highly stressed more than other areas can help you to really begin to zone in on what it is you're doing, y'all, because that's just some of the stress. That's just some of the stress. It's not everything else that you're doing. It's not maybe the, manipulation. Maybe you are plaiting your hair. Some people got these and they're letting these locticians sit there and cornroll them and style them up in all these updos. That's a no. I love to keep mine curled, but if I curled mine as much as I want to curl my hair, I would be pulling. So you gotta pick your battles. And this is one of the battles you don't want to have, because when you destroy those follicles, or when they start to shrink over time due to repeated tension, stress, manipulation, and inflammation, what you will realize, sometimes, if you're lucky, it can take these follicles 4 years to rebound. Some of them don't rebound. Some of them don't rebound. So you have to increase the likelihood that you will be doing other things on the back end to keep your hair healthy. You gotta be fighting the good fight all the time. Talk to your locticians. Don't dare keep sitting up in chairs where your hair is hurting and ain't nobody listening. And you got to leave out of there and take some Motrin or some Tylenol, or you got to take that before you go in. No, it's not worth it. Don't do it, Miss Seeley. Don't do it. Don't trade places with what I've been through. It's not worth it. Communicate with your locticians. Be loud, okay? The squeaky wheel gets the oil. Okay, do it, baby, do it. Make some serious decisions if you have to make some decisions. Shout out again to Feminine Guru. Sometimes you may have to take over your own hair, okay? And it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm telling you, there's a million ways that you can maintain your locks, and do it on your own timing with an appropriate amount of pressure at whatever frequency that works for you, because the way these these retightenings are timed will no doubt give you some adverse effects down the line. You may not see it yet, but be mindful and look out for the signs of trouble, baby, because when you start to see them, know that that hair problem or that hair loss or that thinning or that breakage or whatever it is that's going on is systemic at that point, and likely your whole scalp is under, or your follicle platform, I'm going to call it, is under stress throughout in a lot of places, but you just haven't begun to experience the literal fallout yet or the consequences of it. But know that it's coming. And on that note, for those of you who want to get in touch with me at another level, whether it's for hair appraisals, whether it's for products, you can find the products on Amazon now. You can also find them on the I Am Melanin Magic website. I always give my clients on I Am Melanin Magic a little extra care and concern. I love y'all. I appreciate your support over all these wonderful years. And I will see you soon again for another video. For those of you who are interested in talking about hormone replacement therapy or the menopause experience, make sure you check out my videos on this channel that are talking about that. I hope to bring Dr. Monet on one of these days. She has already agreed to come on. I want to get a little further in my hormonal therapy journey and continue to share these experiences with you. I would love for you to share your experiences as well. Lots of love to you. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day.